Have you ever read a book that felt like you were losing your mind, losing your grip on reality? The kind of story that twists your mind, makes you question everything, and in fact makes you question your own sanity. Well, spooky season is upon us, and today I've got 8 of these unhinged books just for you. Stories that just plunge into madness with some horror that just creeps up along your spine. Forget your monsters and specters and ghouls. The true horror here is the human mind. And do stick around until the end, because the last one is not just one of my absolute favorites, you also get 2 for the price of 1. As always, all the books I talk about are down below in the description. Let's plunge into madness. And let's start off slow and easy with the book that, at least in my opinion, can easily be called a contemporary classic. It is a masterclass of psychological horror and a deep dive into the insanity of obsession. This is Perfume by Patrick Suskind. We go back to the 18th century France and we meet our main character Jean-Baptiste Grenouille, who is a strange man. A man who was born without body odor, but with an acute sense of smell. And he has a singular obsession. He wants to create the perfect perfume, the perfect scent that he can wear himself. And safe to say that this leads him down a dark and very twisted path. And what makes this book so unhinged is not just Grenouille's actions. No, it is Suskind's writing. When Suskind explores the nature of obsession and of human desire, he does so in a very immersive way. His prose is very descriptive, it is very lush, it is very sensory, in such a way that you as the reader experience the world as the main character does. And from the moment you start to see the world around you from his own twisted perspective, that's the moment the insanity creeps up on you. This book will have you question that thin line between genius and sheer, utterly batshit crazy. Grenouille's descent into darkness is very dark and twisted, but it is also very captivating. It feels like being the witness to an accident. You know you shouldn't look, but you just can't help yourself. I absolutely love this book, and while this might not be your classical horror book with vampires and ghouls and monsters, I do advise to leave the light on. This book is for fans of psychological horror. If you love books that delve deep into the human psyche, if you want stories about obsession and depravity, well then this is absolutely the book for you. But it is also a book for historical fiction lovers. It is a very different take on historical fiction, but it is a unique one. And it is definitely a book for anyone who loves rich, descriptive prose with a lot of exploration of sensory themes. Well, Suskind, chef's kiss. I would stay away from this book if you're looking for a conventional hero, because Jean-Baptiste Grenouille is anything but that. This book focuses on atmosphere and characters. So if you're looking for a straightforward, plot-driven story with a clear moral compass, then this again might not be the book for you. Perfume by Patrick Suskind. The next book is another one of my favorites, and actually one that I only discovered this year. It is a masterful blend of psychological horror and science fiction. It does remember of Lovecraft at times, and this is Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer. Annihilation is the first book in the Southern Reach trilogy, and it follows a group of explorers. An all-female expedition team that was sent into Area X, a mysterious, almost jungle-like place that has been cut off from the rest of the world for decades now. The previous 12 expeditions into Area X have ended in all kinds of disaster, and no one knows why. So it is up to this 13th expedition team to find out why and uncover the secrets of Area X. And what makes Annihilation and the whole Southern Reach trilogy ever so sublime is that it is all about the unknown. The unknown and the profound psychological influences it has on the team members. Yes, they will encounter strange plants and perhaps strange creatures, but this is not what the horror in this book is all about. It is all about a paranoia that slowly creeps up on you and on the characters and starts to make you feel you're not alone. And this book already kicks off maddening just by never naming the members of the expedition team. It is narrated by one of them, but they merely mention each other by their functions. The cartographer, the soldier, the medic, you name it. And the narrative of this book is just steeped in mystery. Throughout the story you do learn a bit about their backgrounds, but the more you learn, the more questions you'll have. It is one of those stories that just leaves you with your own interpretations, your own possible answers, and your own many questions. And as the team members start to slowly lose their minds, start to slowly unravel, the tension builds and this feeling of dread just creeps up on you and you have to read until the last page. Annihilation is a book for people with a love of a rich and unique world building. This book is all about the eerie atmosphere of Area X, the strange environment, the backdrop of the story. It is a character in itself. I should stay away from it though if you're looking for characters that you can root for, that you will start to like or hate, because these characters are quite blank. If you're someone who can absolutely be driven mad by our questions not answered, well then this might again not be the book for you. This is not a fast-paced thriller, this is a book that really banks on slow building of tension, on a rich atmosphere, and leaving some questions unanswered, which is probably for the best. Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer. Our third book is something totally different, and it is one of the favorite books of many people that I know personally. And when I finished it and people really came to me and asked, "What did you think about it?" I had to answer, I don't know yet. This is Bunny by Mona Awad. Bunny is a dark, funny and surreal exploration of themes like friendship and envy. This is a story that follows our main character Samantha, and Samantha is a student at a very important school for the arts. She follows the writing program, and it is all about this overly friendly clique of girls called the Bunnies. These are the beautiful girls, the popular girls, and they have this very exclusive little clique, and one day they invite Samantha to join them. And as Samantha just gets involved with them and starts to spend more and more time with them, the whole book, the whole story becomes this fever dream of absurdity and horror. Awad's writing blurs the lines between what is real and what is fantasy, and in a way Samantha becomes a very unreliable narrator because you never know what she's talking about, what she's telling was real or a dream, was it drug-induced, or was it just simple horror. I've seen this book being called dark academia. I don't necessarily agree with it, but I can see where it comes from, and it does critique the sometimes unrelenting pressure that academia can put on people very well. It also critiques the darker edges of female friendship, for example. And while it does those things, it just ramps up the bizarre and dark horror-like elements of the story. And what makes Bunny so unique in my book is that it combines a very dark humor with actual horror elements. The antics of the Bunnies, this clique, become progressively more and more macabre and insane, and up to the point that you just don't know anymore what's going on. And Awad has this sharp, playful prose that just goes from really funny to really dark and sometimes grotesque. It keeps you on your toes as a reader. This book is for fans of dark comedy and surreal horror. If you were a fan of TV shows like Twin Peaks, then this is absolutely the book for you. And this book is for readers who want a critique of academia. This book is a book for people who want to explore the ups and downs of female friendship. Again, stay away from it though if you're looking for conventional characters or a clear narrative, because again, this book doesn't have any of those. Bunny by Mona Awad. And then we have a classic gothic novel that explores the boundaries of depravity and insanity. This is The Monk by Matthew Lewis. This is a story that follows a young monk who is heralded for his piety, for his own discipline, as he lives in a Spanish monastery. However, when he encounters this enigmatic being Matilda, his whole life suddenly spirals into lust and envy and passion and depravity. And what I absolutely love about this book is that Lewis explores the duality of temptation so well. On the one hand, you have this almost holy facade, this pure man who can fight and resist any temptation. And then on the other side, you see the darkness and depravity that it hides. And as Ambrosio starts to give in to temptation, we see how he increasingly engages in depravity, in dark rituals, even supernatural encounters. And this was an absolute provocative read in its day. Not just because of all the dark themes that it explores, but also because it very clearly critiqued the hypocrisy of the church. A critique that we still hear today after so many centuries later. And The Monk is not just about shocking content. Yes, there are vivid depictions of sins and transgression, but there is also this very creepy dark atmosphere. This is a true gothic novel. It is a blend of horror, eroticism, psychological analysis, and sociological critique. When we talk gothic literature, we always end up with Frankenstein and Dracula, and I'm all for those. But this book, in my opinion, is again one of the cornerstones of Gothic literature. If you love your classics, if you love your provocative literature, then this is the book for you. If you're a fan of Gothic literature and you want to explore it even more, again, pick this one up. However, if you're not a fan of very graphic content, if you're not a fan of historical content, and if you're a fan of a light-hearted story, go read something else. The Monk by Matthew Lewis. If you're enjoying this deep dive into unhinged madness for Halloween, do remember to hit that like button. It really helps me know what type of content you love and it keeps the channel going. And before your mind totally unravels, I want to hear your thoughts. What is your absolutely favorite unhinged book? Let me know down below in the comments. And now, onwards to madness. The next book is a unique blend of fantasy, horror and dark humor that challenges the boundaries of reality itself. It is The Library at Mount Char by Scott Hawkins. Carolyn is one of the 12 children of this strange, almost godlike figure called the Father. And he raises his children in this brutal, bizarre, library-resembling atmosphere. Each of his children are trained in a specific field of knowledge and power, but suddenly we start to find out that there is much more to it than that. And when Father all of a sudden disappears, it's Lord of the Flies all over again. But this time with strange and dark powers. It soon becomes a story of power struggles, of revenge, of family feuds. It is a lot. It is a search for meaning in a world clearly gone mad. What makes The Library at Mount Char so unique is that it is equal parts dark, funny and thought-provoking. It is a blend of cosmic horror and domestic drama. Reading this book is a surreal experience. One moment it is funny and it is very entertaining, and the other moment it is all of a sudden dark and brutal and grotesque. You never know what shocking revelation is around the corner. And it is one of those books that keeps to linger in your mind after you've finished it. It invites reflection on human nature, on godhood, on the pursuit of knowledge. What is sanity? What is insanity? Why am I starting to sound rather insane myself? A lot of questions that the book doesn't always answer. This is a book for people who love complex characters. If you want a character that has several layers, that is very ambiguous, well, this is the book for you. This is also a book for lovers of the surreal. This book challenges conventional storytelling, and it is very strange to read, but in a good way. Again, if you hate that certain questions will not be answered, if you hate having to fill in the blanks yourself, stay away from it. And if you love a book with a plot that goes from point A to point B, again, this might not be for you. It is dark, it is heavy, it is surreal. It is The Library at Mount Char by Scott Hawkins. Cannibalism. The next book is Tender is the Flesh by Agustina Bazterrica. Welcome to a new dystopian world. A virus has made animal meat poisonous to us humans, so we had to explore other means of sustenance. The other white meat. The government has started breeding humans for consumption, although we don't call them humans anymore. And we follow Marcos. And Marcos is an employee of one of those factories, a human meat processing plant. And this is the kind of novel that deals with themes like dehumanization and the frailty of civilization. How easily are we willing to throw it all overboard and go feral? Morality is shattered and the macabre becomes the norm. It is truly unhinged to read about a society where something as cannibalism has become everyday normality. As a reader, it is really strange and unsettling to read about the breeding and the processing and the consumption of human flesh. And this book is the kind of book that truly explores the darker corners of human existence. And I'll not spoil anything of the story any further, but yeah, it does get worse. It was a book that had me uncomfortable throughout the pages, but again I wanted to just read on and finish it because it is that good, but also that icky. This book is for fans of a dystopian book that also challenges morality and ethics. This is a book that caters to readers that want to feel on edge while reading it. Yeah, I think it is clear and obvious who should stay away from this one. Tender is the Flesh by Agustina Bazterrica. The next book is a book that could easily be seen as a monster story, but at the same time it explores themes like loss, grief, and the prices that you're willing to pay to undo them. This is The Fisherman by John Langan. This is cosmic horror combined with a deeply personal narrative. We meet up with two characters this time, two widowers who have both lost their wives. And seeking respite from their grief, they find solace in going out and fish together. So they venture to some very secluded, unknown, mysterious fishing spot upstate New York. Whatever could go wrong? And this book is basically two stories woven together masterfully. At one end, it is a story about personal loss, about grief, how to cope with that. And on the other hand, it is a dark, almost ghost story that explores local folklore and very supernatural beings and a very, very dark past. It is almost A Man Called Ove meets Cabin in the Woods. And for this one, again, Lovecraft is never far off. This novel is thick with tension and foreboding, and it just until the point that something has got to give. And if there is such a thing as literary horror, then this might be it. Yes, it is a horror story with all of these spooky season staples that we know and love, but it is also a very complex character story with a story of loss, of grief. This is a book for anyone who loves local legends and folklores and things that go bump in the night. But it is also a book for lovers of literary fiction. But it is also a book for fans of cosmic horror. And again, as almost all of the books in this list, stay away from it if you're looking for all questions to be answered, if you're looking for a very light-hearted read, or if you're looking for something that is fast-paced. Because The Fisherman by John Langan is none of those things. And then for the last book in this list, I promised you two for the price of one. This is The Road by Cormac McCarthy. What can I say about this book that hasn't been said before? It is possibly one of the best written post-apocalyptical, dystopian future books that I've ever seen. It is the journey of a father and his son as they traverse an unrelentless, bleak landscape that was caused by some catastrophe. I don't think the book ever explains what actually happened. It is a story about survival, about despair, about hope, giving up, and the love between a father and his son. And this book is bleak. This book is dreary. This book destroyed me. It is so well written, and the whole story about his father and his son is so heart-wrenching. Yeah, this was true horror for me. Now, I've been a fan of this book for years now, but recently they adapted it into a graphic novel. Now, at first I was rather skeptical about it because how do you catch such rich storytelling and rich language into something that is image? But they did it ever so well. The way that the artists of this graphic novel captured the bleakness and the dreariness of McCarthy's world is ever so well done. And at times it even utilizes the fact that this is a graphic novel by not telling things, but very subtly showing them, if you pay attention. Both the book and the graphic novel are for fans of post-apocalyptic dystopian futures. If you're looking for a very profound, emotional, character-driven story, again, this book is for you. And if you're looking for a book that is ever so well crafted and beautifully written, again, pick this one up. However, if you're looking for a happy ending, if you want to walk away from a book and feel better about everything, I have other videos. The Road by Cormac McCarthy, one of my absolute favorite books of all times in this genre. Thanks for joining me on this unhinged journey for Halloween. If you found any new reads to add to your list, then do give this video a thumbs up. And subscribe for more literary content. And before you go, don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments. What is your favorite, strangest, most surreal and most unhinged book? Because I can always use some more madness. Thank you for watching, and if you want some more lighthearted reads, well, you can always check out this video.